I almost said that this was a fair result, that the draw was a fair result, bro. But then I looked at this stat, bro. I looked at this stat and I was just like, nah, bro. We wasted this one. We threw this one away. When the XG, the difference in the XG is that great. It's more of Slot actually coached a good game versus Aston Villa played better than we did and played us out of the park. There were moments, and credit to Aston Villa, they did play a good game plan, and they do have some good players that helped them stay in this game. But I think this is more of Liverpool blowing it than Aston Villa beating us, in my personal opinion. When their midfield isn't carrying the ball, when your defense isn't clearing the ball when they should be, and when your attack isn't finishing their chances, all three phases of play, the end product is poor. A lot of the times you'll take a draw because it probably should have been worse, right? And this isn't the result that's ideal. And believe me, there's probably going to be a club clear out in the summer. I think this game is a glaring spotlight to what needs to change and what needs to improve with this Liverpool side moving forward. But I think you will take this because of how poor the performancing has been in all three phases of the play in this specific match, right? But we have a dilemma right now as Liverpool fans. Nunes can't finish to save his life. Diaz is too streaky to trust. Chiesa isn't trusted by the manager. Jota is made of glass, but he acts like he isn't made of glass. And Salah just needs help. So what do you do with this attack? Who do you think stays? Who do you think goes? And who needs to come in to give Liverpool the support that they need to be a better team and get over the line in moments like this? Too many times in previous seasons, it's been like this from Klopp all the way to Slot. I know they're two different managers, but it's almost like we suffer from the same diseases almost every single season. What's the solution here? I don't know. I'm gonna listen to your guys's help and your guys's guidance on this. What do you feel like needs to change in this Liverpool side to get us over the line? Am I saying that this is it? It's over for this Liverpool side. We're not going to win anything. I'm not saying that at all. I actually do think we are going to win some stuff, but this is not a way that we're going to be able to sustain dominance because we can't keep faltering in the second half of the season like this in January and February and expect to continue to win titles. We're very lucky that Manchester City has just been terrible this year because I think this would probably be another title for them to go and get if that wasn't the case. But anyway, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys leave a like. Tell us where you are watching from so you can connect with people that are in your area. We are all over the place right now. I believe Australia wanted a special shout out. Shout out to the Australians. Shout out to the our homies over in South Africa as well. Special shout out to you guys. You guys are amazing. Thanks for subscribing to the channel and make sure you leave a like down there and then leave a comment. Join the conversation. That's what this channel is about, bro, is to have those good conversations. But let's jump into the game. The 4-2-2-2. It worked while it lasted, and I think the whole game plan, Slot's game plan, was to box in those wide backs, right, and make it difficult for them to build from the back, which they did, right. And Aston Villa was playing that high line that got them into a lot of trouble, but we weren't able to really exploit it the way that we were needed to, and the unwillingness to carry the ball in the midfield. We saw that it hurt, right? And where we see Ryan Gravenberch typically do that job for us, he wasn't able to because they were doubling and tripling him in the midfield. And then Maka had to play 2 and 3 different midfield roles because Jones wasn't coming back and helping, right? So that midfield setup, it works when you have athletic, fast, pacey, attacking midfielders like Szoboszlai, which is why he played well today. And it doesn't necessarily fit a glider that Curtis Jones is. And he likes to, take his time on the ball, similar to how Trent does things. So I don't know if the 4-2-2-2 works with Jones. I thought it would have made more sense maybe to bring Harvey Elliott into there because I know they played really well together playing that 4-2-2-2 in preseason. But we probably won't see this formation again. But I think that does tell you something about how much he trusts Nunes, right? As a forward and not bringing him on in the beginning, and rather going with a completely new formation versus actually playing Diaz and Nunes over Jones and Szoboszlai, but also obviously the tactics and wanting to press in a specific way from Slot. The space in between the lines killed us, though. It was too easy for Aston Villa to play through us, and Morgan Rogers had a field day. What a player he is. He's a very good player. I really liked what I saw from him, so shout out to him. But this is the card that Slot was dealt. This is the card that Slot was dealt. And he's played a lot of hands, and he's a very good poker player. But I think he's getting to his ends with, and there's only so much that you can do with one ace, one king, and a bunch of jokers. And I think we're starting to see him run out of ideas, and he's desperate to try to reshuffle this squad in any way that he possibly can. And you can see that now by the way that he set up this squad in the beginning of the game, where it was a formation we hadn't ran all season long, and a lineup that we really haven't worked with very often. So he's looking for more, and I think he needs someone to be able to produce magic for him. Other We may not be able to get anything out of the season if that doesn't happen. And Salah is, I mean, you look at Mo Salah and you're just like, damn, what else does he have to do to try to get this team over the line? Gakpo was stepping up in these last couple weeks. I know he's out injured now, so it's a struggle. So who do you go to if you're Arne Slot? And the fans, of course, as I'm reading some of the comments on YouTube and in the Discord. Join the Discord, by the way. They're starting to lose a lot of hope in this team. And I know the expectation wasn't high before this season going into it, but expectations change, especially when you play well and you do well in those very beginnings, and then you build such a huge lead over the rest of the people in the pack. You almost expected now to get this title, even though I guess going into the season, I'm sure no one expected us to even compete for anything. But unfortunately for Arne Slot, the expectation is for us to win, period. And that's it. And we're getting to the point where the draws are starting to feel like losses, and that's not good. And it's like I say all the time on this channel, you can't lose an equivalent of 3 games to win a Premier League title comfortably. If you lose equivalent of 3 games, whether they come from draws or they come from actual losses, it's anyone's to win. Anyone's to win. It'll be like a Leicester title, right? You never know who's going to win those. But if you can mitigate the amount of losses in total, in terms of dropped points, to just 3, you win the title comfortably. And we're very, very grateful and lucky to not have Manchester City on form this year, because I think they run away with this title if they are on form. But who knows if they ever will bounce back. They just got fucking skunked 3-0 by Madrid, which is a positive for us. And I'm going to talk about that in a second, right? But we've been here before, and we can't keep repeating history the way that we've been repeating history. It's continuing to come back from us from the club to the Slot era, and we need to improve and get better. But it's not all negative. Let's look at the positives. So Konate for me is my man of the match, of course. I thought he was a standout today. He was immense. He was cutting out pretty much everything. And sadly, the 2 goals that we conceded were not of his fault. And some of, one of them you really couldn't do much about that. But this leaky defense has to be addressed by Slot 100%. But Salah bags another goal and assist, and I mean, it's a Ballon d'Or type of season, and for Salah, he deserves the Ballon d'Or. So I really hope that we get a trophy from him. We are still clear, but not by much, right? We do still have an 8-point gap on him as of right now, if I'm not mistaken. If we don't start putting it together, we're going to be in a lot of trouble, because Arsenal are going to start growing in confidence. And if they win that game in hand, of course, and then they string together some of those wins, they're going to be creeping up on us, and that gap gets smaller and smaller, where it was so wide just a handful of weeks ago, right? But the City and the Newcastle games, at least one of them now are must wins. Now we cannot lose those 2 games. We have to at least get a draw and a win, or 2 wins. So we have to figure out what we're going to end up doing. And if there's any games you didn't want to drop points in, it's probably this Aston Villa game. However, Manchester City are not in good form, and neither are Newcastle, right? We face City at the Etihad, and that's always going to be a tough match. And then we face Newcastle at home, which I feel like we can come into and feel confident about. But in reality, we are avoiding losing pretty often this season, but we need to find a way to be more clinical and get goals so we can win matches and get 3 points instead of 1 point. But that's the main thing that Slot has his hands full on. This is what we are going to see what he's actually made of. If he's the manager that we all think he is, and that I think he is this run of games right now is going to be his big test. So let me know what you guys think. Does Slot make it out of this run? I think he does. I think he starts putting it together. In reality and in all facts, we avoid another loss. So don't freak out just yet. Don't turn on Slot just yet, okay? We avoid another loss. I know we're dropping a point or two, but we avoid another loss, and that's okay. And it still puts us in a position to where we can start rallying and putting some of these wins together against two teams that are tough, historically tough to beat, but they're not in a great way right now. So we might be facing them at the right time, right? So it's anyone's game to win. It's anyone's title to win at the same time, but I expect us to win it still. Let's make that very clear. So let me know what you guys think down below. Who's your man of the match? What's your prediction for these next handful of games? How many points do we get out of them? And make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.